All right. Welcome everyone to the September SR7 Board of Education meeting. We have already established a quorum in the open session, so at this point I need approval for the open session agenda, please.
So moved.
All in favor? Next item is the approval of the consent agenda items.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Communications?
We have no communications this month.
Anything?
No requests were submitted.
Okay. Next up is making a difference.
Yes. Right there. So I'd like to congratulate Officer Sam Bell, if you would come up. Middle school resource officer was chosen for the September Making a Difference Award winner for the Odessa district. The middle school staff had the following comments as to how she makes a difference. She is an incredible presence in the school. Students light up when they see her, and it's clear how much she cares for them. Students are comfortable discussing problems in their lives with her. She honestly listens to them and keeps it real with them. All students respect her and her advice. She not only ensures the safety, but she also builds positive relationships, serves as a mentor, and creates a welcoming environment for everyone in the building. So, Officer Bell, thank you, and thanks for radar too.
Yes, thank you guys, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Should have gave radar a plaque.
You need something first call.
Yeah, a little. Yeah, good call.
Okay, community champion.
Yeah, so this month we want to recognize the Odessa Community Service Center and Girl Scout Troop 3026, specifically Kennedy Elliott, as part of her Golden Service Project. The community center annually works with the school district to provide supplies to students in the district, and they continue to partner with the Girl Scout Troop 3026. This year it was Miss Elliott's Golden Service Project to organize this and get these handed out. So thank you for the efforts of both organizations and your efforts, Candy.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You get a picture?
Oh yeah, I got
Oh,
you.
yeah.
It's all face. I got the action shot.
Got them all?
You too, Cole.
Ah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Next up is the finance report.
Good evening, everybody. I just have a short, quick update for you on a couple of things. The on-site audit was completed, and we're working through those final requests and tasks for the auditors. They were on site for 2 days, and we'll work together on finishing the final pieces. And we plan for the auditors to return to Odessa to present to the board in November or December. And then the tax rate forms were submitted to the counties prior to the deadline last month. That's it this month.
Sure.
Short and sweet.
Any questions?
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you.
Instruction report.
All right, school's in session, teaching and learning has started. So students in 1st grade through 10th grade have either started or they have completed their I-Ready diagnostic in math and ELA. Kindergarten will take theirs in the next few weeks. They have additional required assessments that they have to do, and we want to give our kindergartners a chance to get accumulated into the classroom setting for some that have never been in a classroom setting before. So those are underway. We'll be getting that data and information here in the next month. New math and ELA resources have been implemented in classrooms. Teachers had training in August, and they continue to have support through instructional coaches, administrators, and each platform's professional learning trainers. So we do have sessions scheduled throughout the year to continue the professional development based on the individual needs of our teachers. So that is set up. And then we do have a professional development day scheduled for next Monday. So this day will consist of letters training, MAP, EOC, and iReady data digs, and time to continue curriculum work. That's all I got. Thanks.
For now.
Thank you.
We'll have to move you later.
Yeah, it's like short-term. Special services.
Okay, I promise to slow down this time. Okay, we're excited to announce that preparations are underway for the Special Olympics track and field event on October 1st. This year we have 11 schools participating, with Sweet Springs, Hardin, and Knob Noster joining us for the first time. Our theme is inspired by Mario Kart and will be called Level Up, featuring fan favorite mascots Mario, Luigi, and Princess Peach. We're looking forward to a day filled with energy, inclusion, and celebration of our athletes' hard work and determination. I'd also like to point out our Bulldogs Brew program is off and running. At the high school, students have taken the lead in creating menus with the guidance from their teacher. These student-designed menus are now being used by the student body to order drinks. This hands-on experience not only engages students in real-world learning, but also builds valuable skills in communication, organization, and teamwork. And then we would also like to reintroduce the use of peer mentors in the early childhood special education program. The ECSE classroom requires intensive adult support, as many students need that individualized instruction, frequent redirection, and assistance with basic routines. While the staff remain the primary provider of instruction and intervention, the peer mentors really help ease the overall workload by modeling expectations like lining up, cleaning up, following routines, encouraging independence, like students will mimic their peers more than they will the adult, expanding social opportunities for more natural opportunities for interaction and play, building a positive classroom climate for fewer disruptions. This integration allows teachers to balance individualized instruction with whole group learning, reducing staff stress, and helps meet the IEP goals more efficiently. Because this program works best with a small, intentional group of peers, we're proposing 2 peer mentors in each morning self-contained classroom and 2 peer mentors in each afternoon self-contained classroom, for a total of 8 peer mentors district-wide. Limiting that number ensures that the program maintains its focus, provides high-quality peer models, and keeps the classroom balance appropriate for the ECSE students. We propose using parents as teacher screenings to identify children from the community who may be strong candidates to serve as peer mentors. Children selected will be expected to demonstrate age-appropriate communication, social and play skills, along with the ability to model positive classroom behaviors. If a child is selected as a peer mentor, a parent or guardian will be responsible for transporting them to and from the center. At this time, bus transportation can be provided for peer mentors. We're looking to begin the ECSE peer mentoring program on October 1st, and peer mentors would participate Monday through Thursday, just like the other kids.
So the peer mentors would attend for free, just as the ECSE students?
So 2 in the morning, and then they would leave just like with the other kids, and then 2 in the afternoon,
Okay.
in the 2 classrooms.
Okay. Sounds like a good opportunity to give some other students exposure to that environment and childcare that maybe isn't provided right now. Sounds like a good plan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is the operations report.
We'll try to hit on a few maintenance, safety, food service, and transportation items. Some recent maintenance projects completed here at the high school. The golf simulator area is complete. District-wide, we had the 5 rooftop units that were down to just 1 install left. It's scheduled for the 10th of this month. Upper elementary interior painting will kick back up after mowing season's over. OHS, the rock beds here around the building, we're getting rock added to those and sprucing those up, get rid of some of the grasses that are in there. The ADA, the door buttons out front, shooting for the PD day when there's no school to get those operational. The device that will talk between the ADA button and the new entry systems that we have. And then also shooting for that same day for a door to be cut in out in the ag building into a classroom. Safety and security, just an update from last month. I've talked to the Center for Education Safety about an on-site visit, waiting some details back on them, and they've started doing some pretty regular webinars too that I'll be a part of to stay up to date with that. Transportation has started off pretty well despite being short several drivers. We've had to hold kids a few times, and we've had some late buses in the morning that they've had to combine some things where a country route will run and then they'd have to go back and get town. But I believe for the most part they've managed to get everybody to school prior to classes starting, from what I understand. And food service, Opa continues to provide a good product for us. It's hard to believe seems like school just started, but we've served about 2,900 breakfast and 8,200 lunches already on the year. So, moving along.
Is it the ag group that's Ed and Rock, or did we hire someone to do that, or what?
No, our maintenance guys.
Oh, the maintenance guys.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Any questions on operations? No? Do the superintendent report.
Yeah, just a couple things. As Ms. Lorenz mentioned, Special Olympics on the 1st. If anyone's interested in helping out grilling, let me know. I will get that information back to Morgan. The grilling shift, I believe, is 10 to 12. So if anyone wants to help out, let me know. I'd sure they take volunteers for other things as well, but that one was emailed to me. Want to follow up last month, Mr. Shepard had presented on the Bulldog break, on that extended lunch period and changes. That's gone really well to this point. They've not had problems with trash or discipline or those types of things. I can speak for one kid who thinks it's kind of a good idea, likes the longer break in the middle of the day. So, additionally, having that longer break has allowed for them, clubs to meet and activities they've got a meeting or something like that. It allows for that to happen instead of taking class time or doing it after school. So far it's gone pretty well, and he's had positive feedback, and so that's been a good thing. Something that has really just kind of come up within the last, few days. Currently there are some House joint resolutions that I don't think will come out of this special session, but they potentially could, that are aimed at eliminating personal property tax. For our district, personal property tax assessed valuation makes up about 25% of the total assessed valuation. Consequently, about 25% of our local revenue. While we would not be impacted this fiscal year, it would still, if it were to go through, it's got a couple of years to actually happen. The property tax eliminated in the future, we'd be looking at that 25% reduction. If you were comparing that to this year's dollars, our local revenue is about 9.2 million. So by eliminating property taxes based on what the legislation says right now, instead of 9.2, we could be getting about 6.7 million in local revenue. So a reduction of $2.3 million out of our budget would be a significant loss and would jeopardize positions, programs, all kinds of stuff. So I have communicated those specifics with our representatives that touch the Odessa district. I've only heard back from one, appreciated the information.
Which one?
Thompson. And he's the only one that ever responds to me. The others don't. But I provide the information to all of them so they can all see, because they are representatives of the district. So just wanted to put that on your plate so everyone is aware if you start to hear some of those things. Again, the way the legislation or the way the House resolution is written up right now, I think the first year of impact would be 28, 29. But that'd be something that we'd have to start preparing for.
Does it gain some traction?
Yes, I would say yes. I mean, for it to be, it was a special Zoom today for superintendents through our organization. Like I said, I don't know that it will go through in this special session, but I would say it will be a discussion as we enter into study session this coming year.
So if you were to actually talk to somebody that's pushing it, would they point to other states and say that these other states don't have personal property tax and they do okay? Or is it just meant to handicap public schools
Well, I don't know.
and other tax entities?
I don't know the answer to that, but I will say that a lot of those other states have other avenues of revenue for schools. You know, our state funding is ranked 50th in the country as to what states provide for Missouri students. So if you cut out local funding and we're already 50th there, now we are one of the highest states. We're in the top 5. I think we're fifth or sixth, somewhere in there, as far as local funding support. But when you start eliminating local funding, that's going to go.
It's a necessity.
Yeah. I mean, when you're 50th in the state, you've got to have a higher local, you know. So, just some information for you guys to know, because those things will gain traction, and you'll start hearing about those things, and you know, through MSBA, be getting emails about those things as well.
So, when you say they need to start preparing for that, what does that look like?
You know, the fortunate thing is, as it reads right now, and I believe that we would have a couple years to prepare for that. You know, if it were to go through, we would be able to start looking at, you know, what gets affected. You know, are there positions, are there programs, and how much of those are we affecting?
We could vote all those people out of office in the interim every 2 years. They're in favor of it. Because it's an attack on public education.
It really is.
Yes.
Do you think that,
It is.
I mean, obviously, the powers that be would realize the implications that it would have on public education. So would the state be in a position where they would recognize that and be like, hey, we gotta do something to at least help out here?
Well,
Those
they're
are
the
the
ones
people
that are
that are in
doing it.
charge.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
They're the ones that are doing it. So if it passes.
So our state funding's probably not gonna change either. I mean, we're just
Well,
gonna.
the state funding formula right now is being reviewed by a special committee that includes 26 people, and I believe 2 of them are current educators. The rest are other people.
And just last session, they gave tuition tax credits away from public schools, clawed that money away from public schools. That's the way it's going.
So John, is the homestead tax credit, is that part of this conversation?
It's already, no.
It's going on.
Yeah, that's, for those that are 65 and older, I think it is, that's already there. And
But then
Now,
the additional of the 5% cap, the potential 5%.
that one has to be voted on. I think the language, we looked at that, it shall be voted on by the April
By
election.
April 26th. So that's separate from this other
Yeah.
conversation completely.
Yes.
You would think that they would come up with a plan to finance this before they started cutting finance from this.
You would hope. But I've not heard of that. So, those were the things that I had on my report. I want to put that on the radar as well. Sorry.
Thank you very much.
Is open enrollment off the board right now? It could come back at any time, but it's dead in
It,
the water.
it will come back up on this session.
Okay,
I'm sure of that.
okay. So you think it's just a matter of time before it's written in law?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, it's been every session for the last, it's been a big topic the last 3 to 4 years, and there were discussions prior to that. I think it's a matter of time and what that actually looks like. You know, it changes a little bit each year as the author tries to craft it to get more votes.
I guess one other thing I'd like to add is thank you and Roger for the tailgate with the spread. That was a great event. I think it had a lot of people, so I appreciate you guys.
We did.
Your effort for that.
It was a good event. Thank you.
We'll do it again.
Free home game.
Okay. Well, that's it for communication and reports. We'll go to discussion items, starting with the elementary building funding.
Speaking of tax, follow that one, fellas. I've got Tom Pizarkowitz and Wesley Townsend here from LJ Hart to talk about, we've discussed the avenues for funding for the elementary, and so now that we've got our current assessed valuation and,
I'll hold off from that.
in the tax rate, we moved that money into debt service, so that has increased the amount of debt service that we can do, so I'm not doing it a lot of justice, so I'm gonna start over.
That's all right. Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. And as mentioned, I'm Tom Pizarkowitz, Dr. Wesley Townsend. I see some new faces here. So, an introduction, we've worked with the district since 2006 as far as underwriting debt, bonds, and leases, and then also serve, as a financial advisor to the district. I also have with me Hannah Draper. She's new to our organization. She's here just to observe, but she has some public finance experience as well. So what we want to do is, first to get into your current situation, and then look at projections for a new money bond issue, subject to voter, if you choose to go that route, subject to voter approval at the April election, and then what a lease financing would look like, and the reasons for that as well. So I have a couple extra books if you want, but it's also on your laptop, understanding? We need to display it up there. It doesn't matter. It won't be. Okay. So what I want to do, going through this, there's a history of financings, probably third page in. So going back in time here, as mentioned, we've worked with the district since 2006. We've issued just over $41 million of debt. A lot of that is refinancings of bond issues. And on the far right-hand side, saved just over $6.6 million in interest expense. There's a paragraph down at the bottom. As a result of prepayments over the years. And last board meeting, you approved a principal prepayment as well. So the total interest savings just over $7.2 million, which is fantastic because that goes a long way into the next bond issue as we present it to the taxpayers as a no tax rate increase measure. On the next page, we have the historical growth and assessed valuation. So at the top portion, over the past 5 years, the average annual growth has been 7.1%. And then in the middle section, since periodic reassessment was implemented, 96-97, average annual growth has been 7.42%. Now we're ultra conservative in our projections. I'm only assuming 1% growth going forward. So it's, I'd rather be too conservative than too aggressive and be in a bad situation down the road.
So here's 1% growth, direct comparison to the 7.42 and 7.1s we're seeing?
Yes, yeah. So, but you gotta, even though the average has been around 7%, you see significant growth in reassessment years, and the non-reassessment years, not so much. So just to kind of even it out and just be conservative, we just assume 1. On the next page, we have the historical levies by fund. And a couple things I want to point out here. First, on the far right-hand side, the total levy, we've done a good job keeping that relatively constant each year. That's beneficial to the taxpayers. We don't have a yo-yo effect of going up and down. We're going to focus on the debt service fund, which can only be used to repay general obligation bonds. It can't be used for any other purpose. And then the capital projects fund. Right now you have 10 cents in there, but with a lease financing, we would look to increase that levy to support the lease payments. On the next page, we have the calculation of your bonding capacity. Now, under Missouri statutes, you're restricted to 15% of your assessed valuation. So up at the top, we start with your assessed valuation of 196 million. We can add in some state assessed railroad and utility valuation of 6.7 million. We add those together, multiply that times 15% to come up with 30.5 million. Now we have to subtract off the debt that you already have outstanding, that's 11.8. And then we can add some cash that you have in debt service of just over 3 million. So we come up with your legal limit for the April 26 election is 21.7 million. Now I never like to go right up to that limit, so that's why we're showing on here a proposed bond issue size of 20 million. Now ideally, if you're building a new school, if you could bond all of it through GO debt, if your legal limit was 45, 50 million, then that would probably be the route to go. But you're just restricted, you don't have any other choice. And it's not uncommon that you have to supplement a bond issue with a lease to afford a project. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, on page 4, we have a sample repayment plan for our $20 million lease. And you'll notice second column from the left-hand side, the principal payments vary each year. You know, we have a couple large ones in 2030 and 31, then they drop down and then they pick back up. The reason being is because we're blending it in with your existing bonds. So when we pull it all together, the total fiscal year payments are relatively consistent into the future. The coupon column, the interest rate, and we just put 5% down for planning purposes. Who knows what it's going to be next year in June timeframe. Now, we're expecting some rate cuts this year, so hopefully rates will come down and be very beneficial for you.
Does that adjust annually based on prime?
No. So what we look at is, I mean, it's somewhat all tied together, but we look at the 10-year U.S. Treasury, that's kind of the benchmark, but we mainly look at the municipal market data yield curve, MMD, and that's really a national average of what municipal bonds are trading at. They usually take the AAA rated curve and then based upon your rating, adjust accordingly.
And but it is adjusted annually, the interest rate?
The MMD is actually adjusted daily.
Okay.
You're competitive with other companies, I'm assuming, right? Everybody's within reason.
Yeah,
Somewhat close.
I see what my competitors are doing, they see what we're doing, so it's, yeah. You're not, there's some differences in how we sell bonds, where I like to sell bonds with a short call feature, 5 years, give you some flexibility to refinance and make principal prepayments. Others like a longer call feature, 8 to 10 years. And there's some pros and cons to that, and we can talk about it when we get to that point. It's actually easier for us to sell it with a longer call feature, but yeah, there's. Okay, on page 5, reading left to right, we have your assessed valuation by fiscal year, again growing that at 1%, and then the green shaded columns are the revenue sources, so the local revenue from the $1.31, and then we have state assessed railroad and utility revenue of $365,000. We have that constant going forward. There's some other revenue sources, M&M surtax, financial institution tax, we have a $15,000. And then some interest earnings in the debt service account. On the dark green column in the middle is the total revenue. And then the blue shaded columns are the payments on the existing bonds plus the 20 million. So you still have outstanding, you'll see up in the heading in the blue shaded columns, the Series 2020, Series 2021, and Series 2022 bonds. And then under Series 2026 are the new bonds. The purple column are the projected balance in the debt service account. And then on the far right-hand side are the total fiscal year payments. Now, if you actually go to the next page, we blow those columns up so you can see them a bit better. Everyone have this?
Yep.
Oh, no, okay. So what I look at with your current levy, conservative growth, and the 20 million of bonds, look at that purple column. The balances are hovering into the future around 2.2 million, and your payments, just to the right in the dark blue column, are around 3 million. So that's your balance as of June 30th each year. So after the payment has been made, that fiscal year, you have still about 2.2 million left in cash. And so you're in a very good position. You have enough reserves going into the next year. You don't want to draw your balances down too much, because then you're going to run into some cash flow difficulties. So this is a very manageable situation. And then when you get down to 2031, 32 timeframe, when your balance hits 3.2 million, you start to surpass your payments. And so then you're in a point to start paying principal off early, save on interest, or
What
then
year was that? I'm sorry. What year?
31, 32.
Thank you.
So when your reserves get to a point where they're too high, there's going to be three different scenarios. You pay principal off early, lower your debt service levy, or consider another bond issue without increasing taxes.
So you're saying that in 30-31 is when we could refinance a bond again?
If I sold these new bonds with a 5-year call feature and it was economical, yes. You know, quite honestly, if I sold all 20 million at once, my market of investors is different. If I'm below 10 million, I'm generally selling to community banks throughout the state, and a 5-year call feature is easier to come by. If I'm selling 20 million, we will certainly give the local banks an opportunity to participate, but it may go to some bond funds, you know, whether Chicago or New York, in order to sell everything. And so then you're dealing with investors that they don't like the short call feature. So there's a negotiation going on there. And sometimes this year, I had to move the call feature to 7 years in order to be what I consider an economical transaction. Any other questions on the bonds before I get to the leases? Okay, so as mentioned before, we're capped by our bonding capacity, so we can only do 20 million there. So our project of 45 million on page 7 has sampled $25 million lease over 20 years. And this would be relatively, since the levy that you would ask for with the voters would be dedicated solely to the repayment of this lease, you don't have any other leases outstanding, these payments are level. So on the far right-hand side of page 7, the total fiscal year payments are right at about $2 million each year. Generally speaking, a lease is about a quarter to 50 basis point, 0.5% higher than a bond issue. A bond issue is the safest investment, not the safest, I shouldn't say that, but a safer investment, because you have the authority to raise your debt service levy in order to meet your bond payments. With a lease, you would ask for 90 cents from the taxpayer, and that's all you're getting. So if your assessed valuation goes down, you know, the revenue source may have to come from other places. But again, we're being very conservative in our projections. So on page 8, as mentioned before, this lease is paid out of your capital projects fund, completely separate from the bonds. So very similar though on page 8, reading left to right, we have revenue coming in from $1 capital projects levy, because you already have 10 cents there. And it brings in just shy of $2 million, and it grows with assessed valuation. You get some state assessed railroad and utility revenue. We're projecting 240,000. Come up with total revenue in dark green. Then you have your lease payments in the blue shaded column. The orange column is what's left over each year, about 200,000. And that's the equivalent of about the 10 cents that you already have there, because you need that for other technology upgrades, roofing, whatever comes up. And then on the far right-hand side is investors like to look at your debt coverage ratio. So I like to see around 1.1 and 1.25 times coverage ratio when I'm looking at a lease.
The surplus funds and capital, is that typical? Is these lower than what we
Well, no, that's typical for us.
That is.
Yeah. And that's just because we're generating with the 10 cents that we're putting in there right now.
Okay, so that's standard. We'll keep the standard down the path.
Well, the last couple of years, we've transferred money in, but we did that with the intention of the specific projects we've had.
Okay.
The prior 7, 8, 9 years, it was just the 10 cents, there was no transfer of funds.
So with a bond issue, it requires 4/7 majority approval, 57.14%. The levy for the lease is simple majority voter approval.
So based on your calculations, it'll take us 20 years to pay off the lease in Fund 4, is that correct?
That would be, yes, the amortization schedule. If you have extra funds, again, similar to bond, you could make prepayments.
These are real conservative numbers too,
Yeah.
though, with the growth and all of that.
Yeah.
And that's why I had mentioned before about, hey, this goes along the lines of some stuff that we've said before, like, have a plan of, like, if we do have extra, like, what are we gonna do with it? I think it's important that we tell stakeholders, you know, exactly what's gonna happen, or what the thoughts are, and I realize things obviously change, but I think it's a good idea for us to have something, you know, to say, hey, this is what our plan is.
And, so the last page 8, is based on a 90-cent levy,
Well, it's $1.
$1 levy.
Yeah, 90 plus a 10 that's already in there. But so if you
A
pull,
90-cent increase.
yeah, 90-cent increase.
That 10 cents we're taking out of operating every year, we're just using that 10 cents and putting it in there.
Okay.
And we would continue to do
Oh, this is what I want to see.
that. See, they're answering questions for you.
So is it appropriate to get into a sample ballot language,
Yeah,
just to
we,
get a flavor?
I think just to kind of have a preliminary discussion, it is part of the topic, obviously, and then next month we'll have a little more discussion as a board about that second ballot, and hopefully then we can come back for approval in possibly November, when they can approve what that exactly is.
Yeah, so with the handout with the sample ballot language, we'll start with that. The top portion is for the 20 million of bonds. And so with this, I make this distinction, it'll make more sense once I get to the lease. We're asking the taxpayers to borrow 20 million. And then you as a board, you're legally authorized to levy a sufficient amount to repay those bonds. And you do that each year when you set your tax rates. But we do disclose within the ballot language, we say up at the top, without an estimated increase in the current debt service levy. We have to use the word estimated because we don't know 100% what the assessed valuation is going to do down the road. If it takes a dip, you got to make adjustments. And then down at the bottom, we state that the the $1.31 is estimated to remain unchanged. So there we're asking for a specific amount. When we get to the lease, we don't ask for the lease amount, we're asking for the levy, the amount of the levy increase. And actually, when you get into construction, the way I would do it is I would sell the bonds first. We need those, and you got the levy already in place. But the lease, we can adjust that accordingly. If you don't need all 25 million, say 23, whatever it is, that's all we issue. So we would state we're increasing the operating levy to 4.3136 through tax year 2045. That's your sunset. That's fiscal year 45, 46. And then, so we talk about the project. I also have in there to complete other remodeling and repair improvements to existing facilities and to meet the additional operating needs of the district. Now we can discuss whether or not that's a good idea or not. But to address other facility needs, if there is extra money, you can address those, whatever it is. But also down the road, say we don't need all 90 cents to make the lease payments, you could actually move some of that over into the incidental fund if you needed it over there. And that's the reason for having to meet additional operating needs, if you choose to use that language.
Couldn't do it without that language.
Right.
But this does have a sunset on it too, so you probably would not want to tie any recurring expenses to it.
Right.
Definitely in the future.
We'll obviously have to look over this. My question on the bond language is, if the levy doesn't pass but the bond does, then we would have to do something with that 20 million that the voters approved.
So once you get the authorization, it doesn't go away. You can hold off on issuing the bonds. But maybe I throw that back out there. Can you complete some of this project until that gets passed? I'd
It's gonna be
need
pretty
guidance.
costly.
Discussions that we'll have to have because, you know, being a 50% plus one, you come back in August and try again.
Yeah, any election.
You get information out there, feedback from the community to say, here's what we have, here's what we can do. If you're okay with that, that's what we move forward with. Or if you want us to do that, here's what it's gonna take.
But does this bond language allow us, if the 20 million is all we get from the bond, does it allow us to add on to the existing McQuarrie?
We could use that without ever getting the lease, correct?
Yes.
I think that's what you're asking.
Yeah, in here it says like replacement of McQuarrie, and if we only had that, we wouldn't be replacing McQuarrie. I just wanna make sure that.
Yeah, no, I
we're,
understand completely.
Yeah, covered.
Yeah, we'll have to tweak that language to address what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because then it could be, and maybe it's important for you to know that from the language, because then it could be a phase in, it would obviously be a lot longer time frame.
Right.
But that, instead of this 20 million going towards the replacement of, it would be a phase in of that replacement. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just
Something
you eliminate that in parentheses, because you could do that through the campaign process.
Right.
You could talk about this. as
Talk about this.
Not necessarily in the ballot language.
I mean, I feel like this is encouraging all of these numbers. I know when we first talked about this, we were thinking the number was gonna be like $1.30, maybe somewhere around there. I mean, this is
Yeah.
a third or 2/3 of what that was. We're talking like a 35% decrease, so, I mean, this is good news. I mean, it's still a big ask, but I think this is good news for the district and for the stakeholders to realize it's not gonna be as much as what we initially thought it was gonna be, so that's huge.
Yeah, wanted to see it under $1.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
90 cents instead of $1.
The last two handouts were for informational purposes. This first one is a comparison of your tax levy compared to the Jackson, Johnson, Clay, Cass, and Lafayette counties. So you can, and it's sorted by the total levy. And you can see where your district is compared to what the average is in other districts and kind of see where you would be if the 90 cent is approved. And this is 24, 25. DESI does not have 25, 26 data out yet. And then
Yeah, so this doesn't take into account what other districts are talking about right now.
no.
Right,
This
right.
is just last year's data.
Right now, we're on the bottom 4.
And hopefully in a couple months, we can update this and have this year's data, as soon as DESI gets all the information in. And the final legal sheet size is what we call cost tables, and this is what the 90 cents would cost an individual taxpayer. So if you take the top residential section, say, just pick one of them, a house appraised at 200,000, or I'm sorry, the appraised value. The assessed value would be 38,000, and then the cost per year increase would be $342 for that house, or $28.50 a month. And then on personal property, say a $30,000 vehicle, it's assessed at $9,999, and that would be almost a $90 increase per year for that taxpayer.
It is important to note that in looking at real estate, you have your market value, which you think you can sell your home for, versus the assessed value. And the assessed value is hopefully lower, should be lower. And I know a lot of people get that confused, so just gotta stress that.
Do we know what, in our district, what the average assessed value is of a property, of a home? Do we have that, of like a single family residential? I wonder if we could get that.
Just put it on in terms of the average, I guess.
Yeah. Single family residential home.
We'll do some checking to see what we find.
I mean, obviously it'd be impossible for someone to be like, oh, how much, you know, we could show them this, we could do the math for them, but, you know, to say, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that would be a good idea for your campaign brochure if you knew what the average was, and to have that example in there.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to see, like this, once you have the data, everybody, this one, see where we fall. Once we flip the switch and switch to campaign mode, that'd be great to have. Any questions, Lynn? Good job, I hope you understand it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
As you move through the process, if you need anything else from us.
Okay. Next discussion item is the elementary building update.
Looks good.
So just a few pieces of information, kind of where we are in the process with committee and with what's going on. So traffic study, we've talked about before. Now with 9th Street back open, we've communicated with IDS. So that's kind of in process with VHC to get that conducted now that we should have a normal, so to speak, traffic flow. So that's in the works. This graphic is, we had talked about before in the committee, they did a tree down at Macquarie for open house and just got ideas from teachers and students and parents when they came in for open house. So that's still up there, and a lot of good ideas came from that. And then lastly, that's the flyer that was sent home, picture of it, and then also just wanted to, we'll get the information out a lot of different ways, but community engagement opportunities, just idea and information gathering. IDS will be on site September 23rd and November 4th in the evening, 6 p.m. at Macquarie. So anybody in the community that wants to come and have input or hear ideas from IDS or from other community members are welcome to attend on those evenings.
Are you leading that?
So IDS will be leading it, running it, but yes, in short, but
The local face?
Ariel and I think probably Pat Cost are the two that we'll see the most of probably through the process.
Are there people from the committee that are they going to be going to this too, or?
Yes, I mean, I don't know that all would be able to attend
Yeah.
both, but
They'll be
absolutely.
obviously invited if they can attend, sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
What ways do we plan to put this out and communicate?
So we've had it out once, I think already, if not twice, on social media. But then we'll send that out again, as well as probably through Infinite Campus. We can do an email blast that way to our parents.
We need the paper and we need to reach like the other taxpayers.
Right.
Can you make it a Facebook event so that people can mark interested and then it pops up on their timeline so that it's kind of shared more broadly?
So send a call.
Yeah.
You know how to operate that thing? Do you know how to operate that Facebook thing and set that up?
That's well beyond me. It's well beyond my knowledge.
I don't know either, so I'm right there with you.
We have an expert in Tammy, though.
Will we have, by September, it's gonna take them a couple of weeks probably to do that traffic analysis?
I doubt we have it by that meeting for sure.
I would be surprised, because once they finish up, then it all goes to MoDOT, and then
Oh, they're quick.
wait.
By April?
Do you plan on including the 90-cent number in that presentation or not?
In the presentation, so these really are designed more for information about what the building might include or what it might look like as far as the design. And then really the specifics with more design, the tax amounts and those kind of things, what we had thought would be after January when we present to all the community groups. And we'll have several evenings at the school available for the community on 2 or 3 different nights and things like that would be.
So I see your point where we're just getting communication out for the input side of it.
Yeah,
Right.
this is input, yeah.
And then once when it comes to the tax stuff, then we're probably gonna need a broader reach.
Yeah.
And we'll both be at these meetings to speak to those things, because inevitably people will ask those questions. So we'll both be there to speak to those things, but they will be a part of the formal presentation as we start getting that information out.
That's it. That's all I have on that.
Okay. Next. MAP EOC overview.
All right. So in the spring, we administered our state assessment. So grades 3 through 8 take the MAP test, and there are end of course exams for high school leveled courses. So we received our scores back late July. Got all of that information into buildings. There were individual student scores that were sent home that first week of school. So on our professional development day, I mentioned data digs. All of our data digs in the buildings are coming from all of our MAP and EOC scores. So in your packet, I included scores from 23-24 and then scores from this last spring, 24-25. So we really look at an emphasis on our proficient and advanced percents, because those are the scores that tell us if our kids are performing at state expectations, that they've mastered those grade level standards expectations. So that's really what we want to see. Where do we fall as a district for our kids performing where the state expects us to be? So we did have quite a few areas of growth in individual grade levels and content areas. However, there are still lots of areas that we can continue to grow in. So the implementation of common resources that are aligned grade level to grade level is going to be a huge accomplishment once we get those well established. It may take, it's going to take a couple of years to see the fruits of that labor. Teachers getting comfortable and knowledgeable about using these new resources. Students adapting to the new ways of learning, the new best practices of instruction. And then we've also got plans, like I said earlier, diving into the data. We get really cool reports from DESE that we can see not only the percentage of students that score on grade level or below grade level, we also can see an item analysis, so it dives into the standards. So we've got an ELA standard in 3rd grade. only 5% of our students maybe mastered that. So we're able to identify that and say, okay, exactly, this is what we need to hit harder in the classroom. So that will be part of our process that we start on our professional development day next week, and we continue that all throughout the year. And then just professional development, 4 best practices for teachers, best teaching practices, strategies to implement, and then collaborative teams that we're implementing this year as well. That's just all bringing all of our best practices together, getting our teachers together. Hey, my kids really struggled with this assessment. Oh, mine did really well. This teacher's gonna ask me, what did you do? So just getting that collaboration involved in the teachers so that we can just strengthen our Tier 1 instruction all the way around. And so there is a graph also that I included, our MAP and EOC scores, how we scored proficient and advanced versus the state level. So state level, of course, I mean, there's thousands and thousands of districts, so we're a very small sample size, but that gives us a baseline of how we're comparing to the state. So that's something that we like to show our teachers, hey, here's where we're scoring. Let's try to make this our first benchmark to know that we are meeting where Missouri expects us to be. Then our next step is let's go above and beyond that. So again, this is, the overview has been shared with staff. Our next step is to dive deeper into these standards where we need to improve in.
I have a question, I
Yes.
mean, along the lines of like where our kids are at,
Mhm.
you know, in their learning and like curriculum and stuff. Do you get a lot of feedback from teachers that, like especially at the first year, like that talks about like where kids are, like, hey, they're not really where they are supposed to be in accordance with, you know, where we're supposed to be. They're
Absolutely.
like maybe they're not learning these things, and not necessarily that we don't have teachers doing their jobs, but maybe they're just not reaching these kids for whatever reason. You get that kind of feedback, and then I'm assuming that's part of your
Yes.
professional development. You go back
Yes.
to those previous teachers and be like, hey, a lot of these kids didn't get this. Like, what can we do
Yes,
differently?
and a lot of that truly does come from that diagnostic because we do it so early in the year. So it's, I mean, it's just a one snapshot indicator. It's not anything and everything, but it's, wow, I see a lot of red in this class, or this student, you know, scored in the red in all areas. So buildings specifically can collaborate, like, hey, this student is struggling, what'd you do last year, or what interventions have you tried? Each building does have intervention teams where they literally meet on students and their performance level to kind of.
So, you know, with our, that's kind of a weird dynamic. Like, if you're the, say you're like fourth, or I guess it would be 7th grade ELA, and then 6th grade wasn't there, that's weird to be the 7th grade teacher and be like, hey, these kids don't know what they're supposed to know, because then you don't want to really rat out your cohort, you know, you're like, but in essence, it's a good thing to have those conversations.
100%.
That it's not personal, it's
Yes.
just like, hey, what do we need to do?
They're our kids.
Yeah.
It's not just.
So you are getting that kind of feedback, though, that the
Some.
teachers feel comfortable in doing that.
Oh, yes, yes.
And then the ones that maybe do need a little help, maybe we're doing some, they've been receptive and.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
good. That's good stuff. Sorry.
No,
I was
you're
just
good.
curious about
Yeah,
how it works
yeah.
for you guys. I'm assuming.
No, and with instructional coaches too, like that alignment is just strengthening even more.
Good stuff.
Because they have that inside knowledge as well as the administrators do too, so that helps.
So along like you started out, when kids come in and you get that feedback, they're not where they need to be. Like, so if you see like grade 4 math is down this year, did we see grade 3 math down last year?
We have looked at that, yes. So we do have historical data. So it has been interesting to kind of see. So we can follow it grade level to grade level, but it's also important to look at cohort to cohort because 4th grade last year is not the same group of kids as 4th grade this year. So we want to make sure that we're following like the cohort. So some grade levels, we do see the trend, they continue to grow. And then there are some grade levels, or cohorts, that do go downhill. So we have started those conversations of, well, why? Why are they going downhill? That cohort is.
Right, because at that point it's a matter of, you see it closing the gap.
Exactly, yes. Yeah, so I mean, this year, we're already hitting the ground running with looking at that data, to whereas last year we kind of touched the surface, but it's now, with these added resources, that's really helping.
Right, because you don't need a teacher to tell you they're behind. You can see that it's what's coming.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, hey, this cohort of students is historically performing below grade level. We've got to do something. So kind of being proactive about it is
Or maybe
the goal.
they're really good, so then you're a little tougher on them.
Exactly, yeah, so we
So
can
it's gonna
amp up the
challenge
rigor, for sure.
Amanda,
Yeah.
you touched on this a little bit, but First off, how many years have we implemented iReady?
This is our third year?
Okay.
Third year.
So I'm just curious, at what point can we truly assess the platforms or curriculum to see if they're effective? Like, is iReady working or not? Or is Letters working or not? I guess that's
Yeah.
the question.
I, this summer, was able to run a report with our advanced proficient percentages, and then I took our iReady reports, and so if they scored in the green or the green hash, I considered that advanced or proficient, and they matched up. So it's a really good indicator of how they're scoring on iReady is how they scored on the math test. So I was really pleased to see that it matched up.
The iReady though is just the predictive of how they're going to perform based on the instruction.
Mm-hmm.
And last year was the first year at the elementary level that we had a consistent ELA curriculum in place. We've expanded that to secondary, and then we've got a K-12 aligned math curriculum that was put in place this year. So we're still a couple of years away
Yes.
from being able to evaluate how are these curriculums performing.
So maybe
We
Yes.
should be able to start to see some progress in 1 year,
Yeah,
but truly a fair assessment is 3 or more.
Yes.
but the classrooms use iReady for the assessments 3 times a year, but there's also curriculum that they use within that platform.
So there's
right?
a MyPath. So how a student scores on the diagnostic, it finds that first gap at the most foundational level, and so it like auto assigns assignments based on those individual needs of how that student scored. Is that kind of what you're asking?
Yeah.
And then also our ELA and math curriculum in K-5 that we adopted is an iReady resource.
I think that's what I was getting at, is like,
Yes.
yeah, it's both.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that all aligns. So we're using the same language, we're posing the same types of questions, expecting the same type of critical thinking. So it's being all under one, I'll say program, I guess, just aligns it.
Okay.
Yeah. Supports it, I guess, is a better term.
Question about math.
Yes.
8th grade math versus the EOC Algebra 1 8th grade math. Why is there such a difference in growth?
Of growth. So this is the comparison, how we scored versus how the state scored. So
Just the difference between our students in each class.
so
100%
Those are
versus
the
the
gifted
21%.
math.
yes, so those in 8th grade Algebra 1 were placed there. It's kind of like the honors, so there are top performing students versus if they're taking 8th grade math, they take Algebra 1 in high school. Does that answer your question?
100% still awesome.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
But those students are also, they should be scoring.
Oh yeah, no, they're scholars, yeah. Math technicians.
And there's criteria for that too.
To get in it.
Yeah, to get in, they've got an established criteria to select which students can even get into algebra.
Well, thanks for diving into all this. I feel like it's hard to be able to say like this specific thing is why we're scoring low in this when there's so
Yes.
many factors. So
Yes.
I kind of feel sorry for you for trying to like give us those answers,
Yeah.
but
No,
thank
I
you
enjoy
for
it.
trying.
So we've made huge bounds and strides, and we're going to continue to do so to get our scores to continue to grow.
There's a lot of things to celebrate with folks and
Mhm.
prop up.
Yep. Yeah,
And a lot of stuff to work on.
you're exactly right. Yep, we're moving in the right direction.
Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks.
Appreciate it.
She's at that.
Yeah.
Building improvement plan.
I won't sit down yet. So there is a required component of MSIP 6 for buildings to have building improvement plans. So I explained, it was in June or July, I believe, whenever I presented the survey results that were given in the spring, our DESI survey that we gave to stakeholders, and then our DCI survey that was given to staff here in the district. So all of that information, all of those results were given to buildings. building administrators used that information as well as diagnostic MAP EOC scores to build a building improvement plan where they created 3 building specific goals that they wanted to focus on. So those goals are provided to you. So I said that I would share those with you after buildings created those. So buildings, they use, like I said, building administrators, leadership teams, the assessment data, and survey data. So we're essentially going to have the same type of format like we do for our CSIP, where we do frequent check-ins, checking in on the progress of the goals, evaluating the success of them, to make sure that we are just on our way to improve those specific identified areas in each building. Yes, they did a great job. Okay.
Any questions?
Nope. Appreciate it.
Perfect,
Thank you.
thanks.
All right, we'll move on to item number 24, which is the resignation of employees.
Yeah, so this policy and procedure, after the most recent certified resignation, it was asked that this be included as a discussion item on the agenda. Currently, if a certified member resigns after June 1st, there is a $5,000 liquidated damage fee. And so does the board want to consider anything additional beyond that if someone were to be a later resignation?
How often does this happen? Or what's the number?
More in recent years, for various reasons.
It's a major problem for us because if it's after June, then we're kind of stuck.
Well, and it's not just us, it's happening everywhere. We're no different than every other district. They're having a lot of the same conversations.
Maybe we'll move it to July and we say after, I mean, it's hard no matter what, but then July is like the ultimate, and then you just put another fee on top of it.
That makes it harder for us.
Yeah.
I mean,
Further back into it.
the last time the individual walked in with a check in hand and said, here's my resignation on the check.
On what day?
The day before school started.
2 days before. Okay.
You're not
So-
gonna, if there is
So-
an amount, we'll fix that probably.
We've got to have some more protection there. I mean, I think you have discretion at the end of the day for extenuating circumstances.
Yeah,
Well,
the policy
material
allows
change.
for someone comes in with some stage 4 cancer or something
Right.
like that, the board could waive that fee. That is included in the language.
But I do think we need more protection than the $5,000 a day before school. I'm out.
So, let me ask you this. So what if they just quit and don't ever pay it? What is the consequences?
The board could pursue their certificate with the state.
So if they get a job out of education,
There's no, I mean, you can go to small claims
Yeah, you
court.
can go to court, but it would cost more to,
It would cost you more to fight that than it would be.
So do you think that raising it, I don't know, say $10,000, is that something, the direction you want to go, or?
do you really want someone here that doesn't want to be here too? It's like, how good of
Well,
a
that's
job are
true.
they
There's
doing?
that point too.
yeah?
I mean, at some point, it's like, it's diminishing returns, I think.
Right, at some point, I would rather not have whatever amount of money than have somebody set up as a teacher. So I think it's more on the schedule side than not.
I guess the question in my eyes that we need to talk about, by putting a different amount of money on this, is that going to fix the problem? I mean,
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question.
yeah, I know. I mean, that's where I'm at. Is that really gonna do anything?
And legally, we can't, if we're in a bind, we can't, like, offer a signing bonus, because all the pay has to be the same, right? Since this is government. So so it's not like we can use this money to entice someone and be like, yeah, we know school's a week away, but we really need you, so we'll give you this money.
Well, and truly a liquidated damage has to be what you're out. You know, in the past, we've had circumstances in which, you know, the replacement cost twice as much as what, because that was our only option, you know, to put a good person in that position.
So here's my next question for you, and I am not, nobody take this personal, but maybe it's our hiring process. Are the people that are leaving, is there some kind of red flag when we hire them?
I don't know that there's been anything that has stuck out as a red flag that you could predict anything like a late leave.
Well, isn't a lot of it like teachers retiring somewhere up the road with salaries a little bit more, and then the hiring takes place, and as the hiring shakes out, then they move into those jobs later in the summer?
Well, I don't,
Like where they've already signed a contract with
I
us,
think
but
there's-
something else comes available,
yeah.
so then they leave.
I think there's different reasons. You know, I don't know to say specifically if there's a consistent reason.
So are you giving us a recommendation, or?
No, this is just for discussion right now.
Do we think that the people that walk in with a check and quit, resign the day before school starts, do that on purpose and potentially it's been planned? I mean, it's hard to say, but
Again, I'd
you don't
be
want to
speculating,
speculate,
so-
yeah, but.
It's possible.
It's possible, anything's possible.
Are other districts paying those, you think?
I have seen instances in which other districts have paid. That happened to us 5 years ago.
Maybe that's.
It was, because Aaron hadn't taken over yet, but it was, when I say it's 5 years ago, where another district paid the
Really?
liquidated damage
I
fee.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Poaching us?
And how is that, how can that work? Because then at that point, they're giving that an employee a benefit that another one can't get.
I don't have to answer to them. I don't know.
Same place scoreboards.
I agree. Is it gonna help us? That's the thing. Is it gonna be beneficial to us?
Yeah.
And I don't think you know that until
Like
you
solve
make
the
a change
problem?
and see.
Right.
Yeah, is it gonna solve the problem?
That's fair.
I think we need to look at the time frame more than the, I agree with Cole.
You would hope that if somebody was gonna leave it, as soon as they made their mind up, they would just say, hey, no matter when that was, whether that was May 1st or June 1st or July 15th.
Right.
I mean, if it is the 2 days before school, we get it. Like something came up, whatever, life. But
Yeah, like maybe it's moving up and they quit, kind of close their ears to what openings are out there as soon as they sign the contract.
Oh, instead of saying June 1st, you say it from the time you signed your contract.
Well,
It's
part
hard-
of the, part of
The
the,
guy who is married to somebody in education, if it's already, they already need to make decisions.
part of the June 2nd deadline ties into the teacher tenure law too. Because as a teacher, as a tenured teacher, you have until the end of the day on June 1st to notify the district if you are not returning. So then, by moving that up, that doesn't apply to a tenured teacher.
So it has to be, that has to be June.
If you're gonna have it apply to all your teachers, yes. June 2nd will be the earliest date. And, you know, like I said, we don't notify the tenured teacher, they automatically have a renewal. They notify us.
Unless they don't get on.
Well, yeah. So, I'll just leave it at this. If you have other ideas, we can, no decision would impact immediately anyway. If we were to make a decision, it would not go into effect until July 1st of next year. So, think about this one, and we can always bring it back for discussion later on, and if a change is determined to be needed, then we can take that action.
Is there a list of what, the reasons why, you know, these have happened in the past? Are they totally different, or are they same?
I think
or-
for the most part, I would say they're different reasons, from what I can recall.
Life happens, I mean,
True.
moving or, finding some, so I feel like, I don't know. I feel
Spouse's
like,
job.
yes, exactly. So there's things that you can't help sometimes.
Spouses getting transferred.
Yeah,
I can't recall any that have been, and I could be wrong, so don't quote me on this, but we could probably go back and look, any that have resigned late to take a different job in education around here. Are they leaving the area? Possibly, don't quote me on that, but, I don't know that any of them are taking different education jobs. It's not like they're under contract here and they're searching for a job that late and they get a job in Green Valley or something like that. I don't think we've had anything like that.
But we do use them, I mean, you mentioned sometimes it's more expensive for us to find somebody, we have to pay more to get somebody good in there.
That's happened.
So that money does have a use,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
That's fair. We're just gonna sit on it and
Yep.
no action right now, but keep thinking about it.
Sounds good.
Okay, next item, last item on here is the facility usage fees.
Dr. Fay.
This information we've put together, Ms. Bagshaw did some checking with other area and conference schools, just related to what they look at as far as a facility use fee, so that's where these numbers kind of came from, put together. So currently, we don't charge for use of the facility, and we would continue not to for local nonprofits that have the majority of their teams that are Odessa students. We also wouldn't charge individuals for the same thing. This fee would be strictly for in-district for-profit organizations. Like if you had an event here and you were charging for that event, then there would be a charge for you to use the facility.
Or if your organization was like for profit, making money.
Right, only for profit.
Yeah.
And then also, if that organization was charging a fee, to people that come to that event,
I see.
then that's when these would.
Do we run into that much?
So outside the district.
A little bit, not much. I think as our facilities improve, we'll get more and more. Was kind of what brought on the conversation.
I get ahead of it before.
So if this looks good, we'll kind of get that out there. But
I mean, for.
I like it, I'm glad that we're doing it.
Yeah, for those that are doing for-profit, these are,
I mean, like
are
our,
cheap.
yeah,
So this is like a dance studio wants to do a recital at our auditorium.
correct.
Okay.
and they're going to charge admission
Okay.
to come.
I was trying to think of
Yeah.
the
Well, I would
best
say,
case for
I
it.
mean, a dance recital place is charging money for those girls to go to dance, so even if they don't charge for that individual,
But the practice
that-
has been to
For
that
other-
point, for our kids, if there are kids
yeah,
at that dance studio, 51%,
yeah.
then there would be no charge.
Even if the dance studio is a for-profit business.
If they're not charging for the event.
Yeah, we've kind of our discussions have been, if they're not charging, if it's free for the families to come watch them dance and do their thing, then we wouldn't charge. But if they were charging,
So if I have a traveling football team and I charge the kids $3,000 to play on my football team and I wanna come and practice here 3 nights a week, but I say, well, I'm not charging them for this practice.
Are they gonna be from Odessa?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, but if I got 20 kids that are paying me $60,000 a year to play football for me, and I'm like, well, I'm not charging them for this practice, I charge them for their games, and I think that language could get a little messy. You understand what I'm saying,
I
right?
think so, I think I'm following
yes.
If they're paying to be a member of that team, traveling baseball, football, soccer, dance, whatever it might be, that business owner who's doing that is making money, and that's fine, like, that's great, fine and dandy. Then they're gonna come and use our facility
But we could
to
deny it,
facilitate
right?
their
Can't we?
business.
We could deny, yes.
I think that if that if they're making money, like if that business owner is making money, if it's a non-for-profit and that individual donates their time to that football team, like if I donated my time and all these kids came and they only paid for their jerseys and stuff and it was cheap and like I wasn't making money off of it, absolutely, let me use the field if it's 51% of Odessa kids. But
we don't get into asking them for their financials to determine
I
whether
understand.
they're
But generally
profitable or not.
speaking, we would.
I don't wanna get into the spot where we've got all Odessa kids and their family and they wanna see a free event. I don't want to have parents, I mean, I want it to be, it's Odessa's taxpayer money.
I agree with that
Something's
too.
free, I want them
Yeah.
And there's that
to
point.
be able to use it.
It is their facility, I mean, they're paying for it. The main thing is if they're using it and it's being hard on it, and it's really not benefiting our students or our taxpayers, then.
And I think if we started to run into a situation where we were a facility where space was getting overused to a point where we're looking at, to your example, if we have a lot of use on a turf that is not school use and it's being used in a profitable way, then we need to revisit this.
For sure.
But I think until we see that there's a problem like that,
Yeah.
to move forward with this would be appropriate.
Or grass outside or out there,
Yeah,
or the wood
anything.
floor in
Or
here.
the wood floor,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of uses.
We need to
That
be
is true.
careful with the language.
Yeah, you've got 3,000 hours on your turf fields. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the lifetime of those, so that definitely does come into play here for the higher traffic stuff.
And that's something we keep an eye on, Sherry would keep an eye on too.
Yeah.
Just
So you got your hourly rates, which I'm like, Cole, I think that's, I think they're good, I support of those, and then you've got your add-ons through the Forms link, so if they wanted tables and chairs set up, IT, if they needed the field turf brush, I mean, is that all additional upcharges, or is that all included in your rate?
No, the only thing that was additional was the lights.
Lights?
Yeah.
Are we all LED sports lighting?
No. Actually, I don't think
What?
any of it.
None
Yeah, I
of
don't
it is.
think any of it is.
It's all halogen.
Yeah, because our newest lighting's the stadium, and we didn't do that because of the additional cost when it was installed. There's an insurance fee in there they have to pay, like in the form when they sign up. There are some things in there they have to do if they don't have insurance. You know, a lot of people have insurance, or a business would have insurance.
Yeah.
We make them provide that, don't
Yes.
Yeah, it says.
If they don't provide a certificate, their music has what they call a special event coverage, like $75 that they pay. It all runs through music. They apply on the music website.
I like that we're doing it, and I think that the language could be potentially tricky, and we may end up having to revisit and change some of the language depending on if we have a situation
we?
that's kind of gray area.
I agree, I think you need to watch. You know, I understand what you're saying, but you look at a Little League wrestling tournament, we charge to get in.
It is.
And we don't have, but probably 10% of the kids here in that tournament. I mean, how many kids are there?
That probably is, yeah, there's
500,000?
500, and there's probably 50 or 60 that are from
50 or
Odessa.
60 from Odessa?
It is a non-for-profit, but they do
But
charge
the
by
way
the
they,
door.
you know, you gotta watch the language there a little bit, 'cause
And in the same token, you may have a for-profit event that wants to
Yeah.
use the football field, but they're not charging for that event, so then it's like, what do you charge them?
and I completely understand we're not gonna charge Odessa Little League to run a tournament, but you know what I mean? Somebody could take that language when they wanted to use it and say, well, why are you letting them? Because it says, so.
Good stuff.
Okay.
That is it then, we'll wrap it up. Oh, I got action items. For discussion items.
Let's get out of here.
We'll sit there for an hour and a half, and they're like, we're presenting before we leave.
A little sleep.
Middle school archery grant application.
Let's go. We're coming. You guys ready for us? We gotta get up and get our brain break. We're not used to sitting this long, especially our PE teachers.
Yeah.
So I am just super proud of both of these teachers. They came wanting to add a new unit to our curriculum in the PE department, and so archery. You know, when you think of that, some people are like, oh my gosh, that's dangerous. We shouldn't do that in school. So I just want to show of hands, how many of you have done a bow and arrow? Raise your hand loud and proud. Wonderful. So we're excited to see that. So I'm going to turn it over to them. They're going to talk to you a little bit about the funding, the safety. They are certified trainers in the archery, so I'm very proud of them for being proactive in doing that.
All right, my name's Jake Doyle. I'm a middle school PE teacher, coach here at the high school girls basketball. So I'm going to talk about the background of my experience with archery, because I kind of had that same feeling starting it. So my first 3 years of teaching, I was in Independence, and we got certified as a staff. So there's 27 PE teachers. We all got certified. I'm in my first year of teaching. There's 800 sixth graders, and then I'm going to go teach archery. So that's part a little bit intimidating first year teaching archery. We get trained, and I'm from a small town in Iowa. I grew up shooting bows and all that fun stuff. But it comes with this little packet. It's very structured. So I go into teaching it. There's 11 steps of archery that they go through. You start with a string bow. So you have all the stuff like that. It's all whistle commands. It was so structured. It was my favorite subject or favorite unit to teach when I was in Independence. I couldn't believe just how involved the kids were. There was no discipline at all. It was just a really fun unit. So getting this job, I went to Lexington from there as an elementary PE teacher. So I didn't get to do archery there. When I got this job, it was one of the first things I was like, oh, we need to bring archery to Odessa. These kids would love this. So we just got certified a month ago. I think it would be exciting here in Odessa. I'm gonna read some fun facts, just things I found. It started in 2002, this NASB program. There's been 19.2 million students that went through this program, 4th through 8th grade. 10,000 schools annually, so there's over 1 million kids each year in the U.S. that are using this program. Over 100,000 teachers that have been certified. The boy-girl ratio is 50-50. I thought that was pretty cool, just getting all the kids involved there. There's tournaments, so there's 1,600 tournaments last year, where you'd go to local tournaments and then you could advance to a state tournament. One that hit home with me when I was in high school, my cousin went to Lee Summit West. She had 4 concussions in 1 year in middle school. She's a really good athlete. Couldn't play sports anymore. Her PE teacher, they did this at Lee Summit West, and she did archery, loved it, and she made the state tournament. So I knew about it in Iowa a long time ago, and then getting to teach it and kind of seeing the effect on kids and just being a part of something. You don't have to be the all-star athlete, but then you can go do archery and be part of a club. So not only we could do it in PE class, but also we could have a club, and they have sports teams. That we could use our equipment and have an actual team that would go compete. So those are just some fun things. Another fun fact was they told us this multiple times. It's the second safest sport that there is. The first safest sport was ping pong. So they said that multiple times. But whistle command's pretty cool. So 1 whistle means shoot. There's lines, and it's all in this packet. It's really easy setup. But 1 whistle, shoot. 2 whistles, you get bow. 3 whistles, go get arrows. 5+ is an emergency where you just stop. So it's a very structured, just safe curriculum that's already set up. So yeah, we're excited for this opportunity to potentially bring to Odessa.
How long is the unit? How long does it last?
So we talked about that. Us having longer block scheduling, we have a longer time. We would not get the bows out the first day. We would So there's a quiz they would take on this 11 steps. So they would learn these 11 steps. We'd probably do that day one, and then we'd find their eye dominance, which eye there was. A lot of kids probably don't know which eye, which is super easy. You just like hold your hand up, look at them, and which eye do you see, and you can tell I'm right eye dominant. So all the kids would find out which eye is dominant for them. Or you just make a string bow, like we could use a jump rope, anything. And then you go through this whole thing. So they're working on their stance, their knock, their pre-draw. So then they're drawing their bow back. You shoot, like, it's the real deal, but it's a string bow, so obviously no one's going to get hurt. So then after, we'd probably do it the first day. The second day, we'd take that test. And the second time they come back, we would shoot. They've got the targets that have, like, the bullseye, and then they have the target that's just white, so, like, you just flip it over. So they said to start with that, so kids don't feel pressure like, oh, I can't hit the bullseye. It's just finding immediate success, just hitting the target at, like, 10 yards. And then day 3, when we come back, we would do a tournament. So like we do pickleball tournaments, badminton tournaments. So
Kids love it. They're just so
guarantee it. Yeah, competing. Yeah.
we would set it up like the state tournament essentially. Like we'd keep their score and have do the whole thing.
We want them to learn how to score, so like if Doyle and I were partners, I would keep his score and he would keep my score, and like we're kind of like comparing and making sure that kids actually know what the scoring looks like at an actual tournament. Like,
Yeah, so, and then like with the teams, or like, I'm assuming this is through Misha, like the teams that you talked about, they actually have archery, like you do in the state? Is that at the high school level, or is that middle school level? And are you thinking inevitably that would come to Odessa, or you would like?
it's multiple levels through NASPA, like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not something.
It's a NASB tournament that goes. There's local tournaments, like I think Higginsville might have one.
I
I
see.
think Cold Camp has one too.
And when is that season? Is it all year? Or?
I know you can host tournaments anytime throughout the year, and then the state tournament's in April.
Oh,
So then, yeah, you'd go compete, and they do individual and team. So you could go as an individual, kind of like a golf score, essentially.
Sorry, I'm geeking out on this. I'm hammering you guys with questions right now.
In Republic, Missouri, they get with local schools around them and like use like their own targets just for tournaments. So like the ones that you use every day in class would not get used. So your equipment would be like used less in PE, and you get with other groups around and like communicate with other schools that do it as well.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Available to homeschool kids?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe, or virtual, I should say.
Yeah, virtual.
Sorry, not homeschool, virtual kids.
Other teachers can also get certified, as since if it is in our curriculum, they are allowed to do clubs. So like we didn't have to run the club as long as it's in PE curriculum. Like you could go run a club if you get certified, which is really awesome.
To stay certified, you have to teach 10 hours for the year, and you have to log it. So if we don't log our hours by July 1st, we have to go get recertified and take a 10-hour class.
Oh, wow.
So that was the only. We just have to make sure we just log our hours
Recertify
essentially,
every year,
which
yeah.
getting 10 hours will be obviously very easy.
Yeah.
And then we also have Mrs. Stewart, who is one of our 8th grade math teachers. She has been certified before when she was in Concordia. So she has that experience like Jake has teaching it. So it's kind of cool to have somebody else that has done that as well.
So cost.
Oh, you go ahead.
I was just questioning, like, so cost-wise, I see you've got a grant application.
Yep.
Talking about, but is outside of that.
So the grant, it's pretty cool. It's the Missouri Conservation. They pay $1,500, and then the schools would pay the rest. Like when I started, so the school would have to come up with the other $1,500. There's another company that makes the arrows that you buy them from, and they've seen this huge growth in the numbers over the last 5 years or whatever. So now they pitched in another $1,500. So now this grant's going to cover $3,000 of the $3,200, which they bumped it up to $3,500. So the school would be in charge of paying $500. But the 32 covers it. That extra 300 would be to get like more arrows, just little things that you may need. So it's pretty awesome, right? They don't know how long they're gonna keep doing it. They've done it the last, I think, just a year. So yeah, 3,000. Basically, the whole thing's covered.
But the grant's not guaranteed, is it?
It's
So
kind of a one-time thing if we make it.
Yeah, and I've already been in contact with our area's director, the Missouri Conservation agent, and it seems pretty guaranteed that we would get it. So.
Date and time that.
No, I think that it's great either way, I just, that's not, the cost, if we feel like we wanna do it, then it doesn't, to me, it's, I wanna support it, and it sounds like a great idea anyways. I think it's great, you guys are thinking of new ways to bring this stuff to Augusta. Fits right in.
Well, yeah. Well, thank you guys.
So that's a yes, we're good to keep moving forward,
Well,
I'm
after
taking?
they vote, they gotta
Okay,
vote.
let's get the vote on, let's vote.
So the first motion is for the adoption of the curriculum, and then the next item would be the application of the grant. So
Make a
it'd be-
motion to approve the curriculum.
So moved.
All in favor? And now I need a motion for the grant application.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Now,
Woohoo, thank you.
Had to sit through a lot of stuff to get
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
It's worth it. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
2025-26 transportation routes.
Moving along to something a lot less exciting than archery. Included in your packet was transportation routes. This is an annual approval requirement. You have the charts as well as the maps again this year. Be happy to answer any questions if I can. You did probably notice there's a few early pickup times. Again, working on those as we can.
Was there a reason that one was early and late? I'm assuming there was, maybe just the route, the way it was.
I mean, typically
Normally your first one on.
Your
is the
first one on, last one off, just
Yeah.
the way routes, you run it backwards
Yeah.
in the day.
A lot of times doing a loop, it comes,
So
what's the safest side of the road to pick them up on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have any more luck with drivers?
They've had quite a few applicants, actually, and had some success with drivers training. A couple CDL drivers already showed up, so they're not, every route's not full yet, but they've managed to.
You got your CDL, don't you, Roger?
I do, yeah.
Will the bus barn pay for them to get certified?
I don't know if they pay for the whole thing, but there's like paid training, I'm not sure exactly what they pay for, but there's quite a lot of incentives to come drive in the beginning, sign-on bonuses and those kinds
So
of things.
what's the pay for a bus driver? Is it per hour or is it like seniority wise? Does it go up?
It is per hour. They do give a little bit of a raise each year, 18 something, and there's a guaranteed minimum too. Like I want to say 18. Don't quote me on this. Maybe 18.50 an hour, and it's a 4-hour minimum. So
Is this when I would complain about the bus driving too fast on my road?
no, that's a different time. Let's see, I'm going tomorrow.
well, the software we have can track that speed.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
we have software that tracks the buses.
Grub Road, 3:50 p.m.
We check the speed.
So, love it.
Start driving for them. Slow down.
That's what I thought he was asking for too, it was like,
Yeah.
you're gonna think about driving.
I think that's a good idea.
I don't think so.
Yeah. And it's contracted. You could do that and be on the board. So
Yeah.
not even.
Oh, boy, that's signing you up.
You guys have me confused with someone else.
I'll make a motion to approve the transportation routes as presented. Second.
Motion and second, any other discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Board policies. Rescinding first.
Yeah, so, the policies listed are subjected for being rescinded, with the exception that I came across today, policy G 230P, but I fixed that in your packet. But, so we're rescinding this, there's changes that have been made based on legal, and so the council sent these to us, and then the next agenda item is to approve them. The policy 275 has to be approved every 2 years, so that's why there's no change in there to the language to that one. I guess 250 was adding something in, I apologize. 275, there's no change to the language, but it has to be reapproved every 2 years. Sorry, I wasn't more clear with that to start.
No, that made perfect sense, thank you.
Yep.
So I'll make a motion, rescinding, Board of Education policies as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second, any other discussion? All in favor? Thank you. And adoption of policies.
I'll make a motion to adopt the Board of Education policies as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Now we get the last item. This is R-VII Foundation appointment.
Yep, so we just need to formally approve the appointment of Mr. Grubb to the foundation board.
I approve Henry Grubb for driving for the bus.
Pull them off the employee report.
We need the bid.
Second.
A motion for approval of Henry Grubb as the R-VII Foundation Director. Second. All in favor?
Any opposed?
Any opposed?
Abstention.
Mentioned by Henry. Okay, let's wrap it up. I need a motion to conduct an executive session, including any record or vote at the next scheduled meeting pursuant to statutes contained in chapter 16.021. So,
Second.
all in favor? Roll call.
Aye.
Aye.
And aye. And now I need a motion for adjournment. All in favor?